Hello, welcome back, or if this is your first time here, welcome. This is my October wrap up for what I read in the month of October. I did not have a lot this October. As I said in my last video, if you missed it, I will either link it in the cards or put it in the description, but I am just getting back into the swing of things as far as reading, so my speed is probably not the best, and I'm also trying to fit it in with a full-time job. I'm trying to get better with reading and working and whatnot. I did have 3 books that I chose for this October Halloween spooky season. I wanted something really scary, or some things really scary, and didn't quite get that. I got one great one, and then the other 2 were So anyway, let's get into it. First book that I read is Horror Store by Grady Hendrix. I saw this on here. A booktuber mentioned this book, and when she showed it and I saw the IKEA cover and she talked about what the book was about, I was like, oh, I have to get it. And I couldn't believe they had it in my library. So I picked up this book. I actually had to wait a little bit because they only had like 7 copies, but anyway, I will read the synopsis to you. Something strange is happening at the Orsk Furniture Store in Cleveland, Ohio. Every morning, employees arrive to find broken Jering bookshelves, shattered Glanz water goblets, and smashed Liripip wardrobes. Sales are down, security cameras reveal nothing, and store managers are panicking. To unravel the mystery, 3 employees volunteer to work a 9-hour dusk till dawn shift. In the dead of the night, they'll patrol the empty showroom floor, investigate strange sights and sounds, and encounter horrors that defy the imagination. A traditional haunted house story in a thoroughly contemporary setting, Horror Store is designed to retain its luster and natural appearance for a lifetime of use. Pleasingly proportioned with generous French flaps and a soft cover binding, Horror Store delivers the psychological terror you need in the elegant package you deserve. So, of course, I was hooked. And then what I do is I read the synopsis, and then I also look at a preview of the book to see if I even like the writer's style. And from the preview, I did like the style. When I got into it, I was into it. It was, it was like an easy read. We start off, we're mainly following the main character, Amy. And she was just okay, along with all the other characters in the book. We followed those characters. They're the ones who get stuck in the store or stay in the store overnight to try to figure out what's going on. As I read in the synopsis, there are strange things that they find in the store, and they decide to stay overnight to see what's going on. They don't think it's anything supernatural or anything like that. And then my problems come in. The setup was fine. I love the imagery that Grady Hendrix used to describe the store. Because I've been to IKEA many times in the past, I know the store very well, so I could see everything that he was describing. It was just like I was there. Then we get into the horror part of the story. It started off well with a little seance, and then it just went downhill from there for me. It was not scary at all, sorry to say. I do watch a lot of horror movies. As I said in my last video, when I was a kid, I read R.L. Stine, and I was a huge fan of Christopher Pike. So I've been into horror for a long time. It takes a lot to scare me, and unfortunately this didn't do it. Once it got to the horror part of the story, to me it was just kind of all over the place. The writing just got to where it was just so much description to where it was just not necessary. I got to the point where I could just skim over stuff because I got the gist of what was going on. It was just like repetitive descriptions. I guess there were some gory parts. There was just like 2 parts I remember being like, And there's one part in particular that has to do with the seance that a couple people mentioned on Goodreads that they thought was gross and unnecessary, and I would agree. But I was just like, okay, can we get past this part? My rating for this book, I gave it a 2 out of 5. It was just okay for me. I felt like the scary part of the story is something that's been done 1,000 times. The main part of the story that was supposed to be scary was not for me. once I found out what was the underlying mystery of the store or what was going on, I was just kind of like, that's it. I almost DNF'd this, but I was like, no, I'm going to finish it. And like I said, when I got towards the end, I just started skimming so I could just get to the end and hurry up and get to my other books that I had waiting. I am not one to go in between reading books, so I wanted to read this one all the way through before I moved on. So yeah, you may enjoy it. You may find it scary. It was not scary for me, and I don't even know that I would read anything by Grady Hendrix. Sorry, because I know people love his books. But yeah, unfortunately, this one didn't do it for me for the Halloween season. Next up, we have This Is Halloween. And it says 10 Tales of Terror by Bram Stoker Award nominee James A. Moore. And once again, I'm pretty sure I heard about this book here on booktube. And I was like, ooh, some scary stories, you know, take me back to scary stories to tell in the dark when I was a child. So I actually read this one. I did do what I don't like to do. I did go in between this book and the next book I'm going to talk about, but then once I got to like the third story, I was like, let me stop going in between the two because I'm getting confused. And the other one had more of my attention. Spoiler alert. So I will read the synopsis for this one. Author James A. Moore offers up 10 autumnal tales of the darker things that lurk just around the corner of Indian summer. A man learns of a town's obsession with scarecrows and tries to find the answers as to why they are so important. Children move through familiar streets and find that Halloween makes everything different. 'Tis the season when ghosts are real, witches soar through the night, and things in the Belden woods are not always what they seem. Sometimes the monsters wear the masks. So once again, I was like, okay, I'm here for this. I was able to read, I think, a preview of this on, I think I had to go on Amazon. And I liked what I saw. I actually had to buy this on Amazon because they didn't have it at my library. But I did buy it used. I try to purchase used if I can. This one, there will be a theme in this video. I also gave this one 2 out of 5. I did enjoy 2 stories. I really, really liked Halfburn Avenue. And I also really liked Harvest Gods Revisited. Then I got to the next story after Harvest Gods Revisited, which is Patchwork. And I got to the bottom of page 79, and there's a character talking about liking women of all ages, normally from around the same time that they started developing the first hint of a curve. It wasn't something he'd ever planned, and he figured it as one of those tests that God puts before his children. Temptation to lead him astray if he wasn't smart about things. He didn't act on his likes, but he thought about them constantly. I was like, I'm not here for pedophilia or anything in that realm. So I was like, I don't want to read this story. Then I decided to go check Goodreads because I was like, is anyone else having an issue with this author and how they write or anything like that? And someone mentioned that they did feel like there was a misogynistic undertone to some of these stories. And then they mentioned a story that had sexual assault in it. And I was like, wait, what? Because I hadn't gotten there yet. So they mentioned the actual story. So I went to go look for myself. The story is called Blood Tide. Here's a little bit of what is described of this woman in this story named Maggie. Her pants were black leather, supple and tight in all the right ways, and her shirt was a little pink baby doll tee with the word princess stretched across her impressive breasts. Her shoes were dark leather short boots with just an inch or 2 of heel and designed for walking all over a man. Then we get back down here. Anywhere I scroll in this story, I see problematic things for me. I see here at the bottom, both of them had talked about how much they would like to use her as their sperm bank on more than one occasion. Then I actually found the attempted sexual assault. I'm not going to read the disturbing parts of it, but just a little hint. Lewis ground himself against her ass and used his left hand to start pulling at her shirt, keeping both of her wrists pinned with his right. And I was like, won't be reading that one. I love horror, but I like stories about demons, and I've said this in my last video, ghosts, witches, vampires, werewolves, occults, satanic, Satanist exorcisms, those kind of things, because I mean, hey, I am skeptical about a lot of things, aliens. So those don't bother me. But when it comes to like real life stuff, like Last House on the Left, the movie, when there's rape involved, I don't find that entertaining. I don't want it in my horror story, so I skipped that story also, needless to say. Okay, so then I was like, let me go on. I'm still gonna try to finish this book. I can skip to the last 2 stories in the book. So the one after Blood Ties, I think is what I said it's called, is called Shades of Grey. I was reading along, I'm like, okay. Then he started talking about a character he described as an androgynous youth. And this is a little bit of what he had to say. The hair was too long, deliberately messy bangs that had been colored blue along the edges and a dark red closer to the scalp. There was a moderate amount of makeup, and the face was as sexless as the body hidden under baggy jeans and layers of shirts. Probably male. Maybe. Either way, the face was attractive in an uncertain way. If there was a boy under all of that, he bordered on pretty. If there was a girl, she could have been a looker with a little work. So at that point, I was done with James A. Moore and this book. I guess technically I DNF'd this. It was by choice, not by like, oh, I'm bored with this book or anything like that. I just was not here for his writing and these misogynistic undertones, overt, whatever. I did not know that a lot of these stories are from previously published, they were all published separately, I guess, at different times. So they go back as far as 1994 and as recent as 2013. Blood Tide was written in 2004, Shades of Grey in 2009, Patchwork in 2009. So they are, a little old, but just like, we were still writing like that then? Okay. So, like I said, I gave it a 2 out of 5 because I did like 2 of the stories, and then the ones that I read in the very beginning, those were fine. But I probably will donate this book. I just don't think I'll be reading this again, especially not after enjoying my next book. So let's move along. And now on to the gym. Finally, I read this book end of this month, end of October. This is now November, but end of October. Halloween was yesterday. Happy Halloween. I'll still say it. It's my favorite day. It was great. Moving on. So I moved on to a book that hit the spot, scratched that Halloween itch, all of that. And that is Autumn Crow by Cameron Chaney, who is a fellow booktuber here on YouTube. I will link to his channel. And I will say, this book was so much fun. I was, like I said, going in between this and This Is Halloween, and then I just put This Is Halloween away before I got to the stories that I didn't care for. I just was like, I'd rather read Autumn Crow. I enjoy Cameron Chaney's writing more, and I'm enjoying the stories, so I'm just going to go back to that book. And then when I finished this, I didn't want to go back to This Is Halloween, but I was like, I still have like a week left. A week left of October, so I might as well go back to This Is Halloween and finish out the month. But I really wanted to go ahead and skip to my November reads, but as you see, I did kind of finish This Is Halloween. So let me read you the synopsis of this one. Welcome to Autumn Crow Valley, where every night is Halloween. Enjoy your stay. But first, a few words of warning. Stay out of the forest. Never venture out after dark. And don't stare into the shadows for too long. You may not like what you see. Have a pleasant visit. We hope it won't be your last. Author Cameron Chaney presents 7 new tales of All Hallows terror, along with his newly revised novella, There Are Monsters Here, in print for the first time. So I have folded so many pages for so many stories because I just, like I said, really enjoyed this book. My 2 favorites, well, if I had to pick one, it'd be Burnt Brownies. It's a short story about a brother and sister, teenage sister, younger brother. Of course, it's one of those stories where like she's trying to have a Halloween party. He wants to go out trick-or-treating. She's like, anyway, parents aren't home. And then so some things happen, and yeah, I just really love this story. This is one I will definitely reread over and over again. It was just what I liked, and who knew I wanted to read a story about children? because usually when I look on Goodreads and I see stories that are like, it's 4 kids or it's 4 teenagers or 5 teenagers, whatever, I'm always like, ugh, anyway. But 2 of my favorite stories, or all of my favorite stories, actually had to do with kids. So maybe I need to read more YA horror books. My second favorite story was Saving Face. And that one was about a homeless guy, and it's about like this spooky forest that everybody knows about in the town, and people say it's haunted and stuff like that. And the main character, you do feel sympathetic towards him because you find out, like, you know, well, I won't spoil it, but anyway, he makes you sympathetic to his character, and something happens to him. You find out what's really going on in the spooky woods, forest, and yeah, it was just, that one was another one that was perfect. Yeah, again, I enjoyed all the stories. I'm just giving you my favorites. So the other one I enjoyed was I Have No Mouth and I Must Feed, and this one was, it was fun. I don't want to give too much away, but it's about these teenagers who are running a haunted house. And there's this mannequin that one of the friends makes, and it's supposed to be based on like this viral video that this serial killer made, and he had this mannequin in the video, and she was singing this, or she was singing and saying things that he wished he could say to his victims. So when one of the friends brings that mannequin to the haunted house, the main character of the story, who he made black, and I was here for it. It was nothing about her race, but it was just nice to be like, oh, the main character's black, that's cool. But anyway, I digress. She's not here for that mannequin. She's like, get that thing out of here. It's creepy. I don't like it. And they finally convince her to just let the mannequin be. And then, of course, some things happen. And it was really nice. It wasn't scary to me because mannequins don't bother me, but I know for some people that's a big thing. And he also switched a perspective that wasn't expected, and I enjoyed that too. It was kind of made me chuckle, but I actually liked, you know, it was a nice little surprise. But yeah, so I enjoyed that story. And then the last one that I really enjoyed was called Crip TV, and it is about a young boy named Alan. I told you all the stories I enjoyed were involving kids. And it's about how he moved from Autumn Crow Valley to another town, it says one town over, Kilgore. And the thing about Autumn Crow is that, like, it says here, every night is Halloween in Autumn Crow. Autumn Crow is supposed to be like where I think I would love, well, kind of. If you read the book, you'll understand why I say kind of. But I love the fact that they just love Halloween, and it's like a big deal in Autumn Crow. So his parents want to move from Autumn Crow because there's a lot of strange things that happen there also, which is why I said kinda. And they're just kind of like, we need to get out of this town. We don't fully know what's going on here. There's a spooky forest. He actually ties some things in from the book, and they take him to Kilgore because they just want to move somewhere else. But to him, Kilgore is boring. There's barely any celebration of Halloween. He's just kind of like, okay, whatever. He goes to school. There's like this bully type character with his little gang of friends, and they decide to dare him to go to the cemetery. And he's like, whatever, I'm from Autumn Crow, nothing scared me. So he goes with them to the cemetery, and there's some things that happen. I won't spoil it, but I'll just say those group of kids end up leaving him, and then he stumbles upon something, and it was great. I love that story. It just reminded me of, if you know, Scrooge, first ghost that Bill Murray encounters in Scrooge. That's what this story reminded me of, and that's what I was picturing in my head. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, the story that I guess is the one he had already published before, There Are Monsters Here, that's the last story of the book. That one is one of those like emotional type of stories. So, I mean, it was a nice story. It wasn't scary to me. I don't think it's supposed to be, but it was a nice story. Like I said, I enjoy all the stories, but I just told you about my 4 favorites. I will definitely be keeping this, and I will revisit it every Halloween. I will probably read my favorites. I may go through the whole thing again. I don't know. But I gave this 4.5 out of 5 on Goodreads. The only reason it didn't get 5 is because, like I said, the last story wasn't scary, creepy to me, and yeah, it was a couple, I think like the first story or first 2 stories were same, just like okay. I still enjoyed them, but they weren't scary to me. But the majority, like I said, I have so many that I've picked out I really like, so almost perfection. So this is my October wrap up, Halloween spooky season reads for 2020. I will say, like I said before, other than Autumn Crow, the other two were just okay. I think next Halloween I will probably do like maybe one book of ghost stories and then try to pick novels for the other books, because after Autumn Crow, like I said, I didn't want to go back to This Is Halloween. I was kind of over the ghost stories, short stories thing. Not from Autumn Crow, from This Is Halloween. I wasn't here for it anymore. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be links in the description for where you can find me, Instagram, Goodreads. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more. And yeah, just show me some love. Leave a comment. You got something to say. Want to say happy Halloween. Whatever. Until my next video, thank you so much for watching. Bye.